Well, to precede a period of meditation that we're going to do later on this afternoon, when we're going to be sitting in the presence of the Buddha, as Vishankar said, and contemplating the various qualities that he has that equate with some of the qualities of the true individual that Ratnaguna enumerated last week. And I've been thinking a lot this week about what happens when I sit in the presence of the Buddha and feeling the qualities of the Buddha and how they impact my mind and affect my mind. And those of you who know me know that the meditation of sitting in front of the Buddha has been a key practice for me for years, because for me it engages all of me. It engages my intellect, but particularly my emotions, I would say, particularly Shraddha. Sangharakshita defined Shraddha once as the ultimate in us resonating with the ultimate in the universe. And for me, nothing kind of touches me in that way more than sitting in the presence of the Buddha. I feel in the presence of the Buddha, the ultimate in me responding to the ultimate in the universe. And that feels incredibly joyful and incredibly vibrant, incredibly beautiful. And when I was thinking about what goes on for me, two words came to mind. First of all, radiate, and the second word which came to mind was resonate. I'm just going to set my timer. When I sit in front of the Buddha, when I sit in the presence of the Buddha, I feel qualities of the enlightenment of the Buddha radiating from him into all directions of space, entering and affecting all beings who are receptive to those qualities of wisdom, qualities of compassion, qualities of patience, and so on, qualities of fearlessness. There's something in me which resonates with those qualities, and I'll come on to the significance of that a little later. And I think that radiation and associated light, which is of course is a form of radiation, are two very important words in Buddhism and Dharma practice. For me, the Dharma is often communicated, at least on the archetypal realm, via radiation and a form of radiation, light. The qualities of the enlightened consciousness are very effectively communicated, for me anyway, through radiation and through light. And think of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that you know. Is light and radiance a part of how they communicate with you? When you go into the shrine rooms of the Buddhist center, when you see the rupas, how do they communicate to you, and what do they communicate? Do they communicate via radiance? Do you feel as though that figure is radiating something into you? I do, particularly the rupa in the lotus hall. And I think we get a lot of people, don't we, who come in off the streets and just sit in front of the Buddha. They just sit in front of the Buddha. So we speak of radiating mindfulness in the fifth precept, don't we? With mindfulness clear and radiant. In the sevenfold puja, we speak of, may they make shine the lamp of the Dharma for those wandering in the suffering of delusion. So the Dharma shines and affects people's hearts to clear and dispel delusion. With hands folded in reverence, I implore the conquerors designed to enter nirvana. May they remain here for endless ages, so that life in this world does not grow dark. So the lamp of the Dharma and the presence of the awakened mind radiate into the universe and light it up. Metta and other qualities of enlightenment, for me, light up the universe, making it a place of beauty and inspiration. And finally, in the as an example. In the threefold puja, we speak of the lamp of Bodhi shining within our hearts. So we have that image again of light and radiation. Bodhi, the lamp of Bodhi shining within our hearts, affecting the universe. So the nature of enlightened qualities, such as compassion and others, I think they radiate outwards. That's what they do. They radiate outwards once developed. I certainly feel metta, once it's burning in my body, in my heart, its natural course of action is to radiate outwards, like the heat of fire. It's naturally radiates from a flame, the heat does. And I don't know if you've been in the shrine at Pamaloka recently, but the walls are now covered with paintings of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And the last time I was there, a few weeks ago, I felt as though I had experiences off and on of the room being filled with intersecting light beams that radiated the qualities of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as they looked down from me from the walls. It was quite a powerful experience. And indeed, the early scriptures in particular speak of radiating quality of enlightenment, such as compassion. And the simile that illustrates the radiation of, for example, compassion, is the simile which is often used in the early scriptures is that of a conch blower whose sound is heard in all four directions throughout the universe. And I'm going to read you something now which illustrates that. It is just as if there were a person skilled at blowing a conch. He goes to a place where nobody else has ever heard the sound of a conch. He climbs up a high mountain at midnight, and with all his might, he blows the conch. A wonderful sound comes out of it that pervades the four directions of the universe. So this excerpt from a discourse illustrates this radiation of quality of enlightenment using the simile of a conch. And I think it's really helpful to think of quality of enlightenment in this way. Metta, for example, is not a thing that we can possess. We can't make it ours. It's not mine. If that was the case, then that would be an example of the ego appropriating the fruits of Buddhist practice. Metta, for me, is an energy, and the other qualities of enlightenment as well, that when cultivated quite naturally radiate out into the universe. These qualities, they can't be contained. They're boundless. They're unfettered. And of course, for example, with metta, we're speaking here of metta developed at quite a high level. And for most of us, we get on with the daily task of developing an attitude of metta in our everyday lives. And metta can feel sometimes quite a difficult, even mundane affair at times, especially when we lack perspective and inspiration. But at least we can keep this image of metta as a conch blower. We are a conch blower in the universe. We put out metta into the universe. Or at least we can keep that kind of simile in mind. That's what I do, and I find it really useful to bear that in mind, that I'm always a potential conch blower. So I just now want to say a few words about the receptivity to the radiation of enlightened qualities. In being receptive to the radiation of qualities of enlightenment, I just want to briefly consider two areas. Firstly, the importance of ethical practice or ethical purity, and secondly, resignation. So it's not hard to see why the practice of ethics is fundamental to being receptive to the qualities of enlightenment, such as compassion. All unethical behavior, I think, springs from the delusion of this kind of fixed, separate self that pushes things away that it doesn't like and pulls towards it that which it does like, hence creating a world in which it feels safe and secure and in control. And this kind of pushing and pulling is often operating at subtle levels, and we have to look for it and be aware of it, I think. So, for example, when I first came across Buddhism, I thought, well, I'm a decent guy. I don't need metta. But over the years, I realized, my goodness, I'm not free of pushing and pulling. I can be really selfish at times. I'm quite self-centered. And that was quite a shock for me to discover. And the modus operandi of this pushing and pulling self limits receptivity to the qualities of enlightenment, I think, because this kind of pushing and pulling self is fundamentally driven by things, not driven by metta or compassion or the other qualities of enlightenment, but by greed and hatred and delusion, which strangle the life out of the qualities of enlightenment. But ethical training, in my experience, opens up the mind and gives space for the receptivity of metta and other qualities of enlightenment that gradually permeate and begin to dissolve the root poisons of greed, hatred, and delusion, transforming them, purifying them, and bringing an ease and relaxation to the mind. Ease and relaxation are really important, I think, to support metta, so it's win-win. And the fundamental importance of ethical practice in the development of positive emotion is made clear in the following passage I'm going to read you. A learned noble disciple leaves behind unwholesome bodily deeds and develops wholesome bodily deeds, leaves behind unwholesome verbal and mental deeds and develops wholesome verbal and mental deeds. Being endowed with diligence and virtue in this way, having accomplished purity of bodily deeds and purity of verbal and mental deeds, being free from ill will and contention, discarding sloth and torpor, being without restlessness or conceit, removing doubt and overcoming arrogance, with right mindfulness and right comprehension, being without bewilderment, the learned noble disciple dwells, having pervaded one direction with a mind imbued with compassion. And in the same way, the second, third, and fourth directions of the universe, the four intermediate directions, above and below, completely and everywhere, being without mental shackles, resentment, ill will, or contention, with a mind imbued with compassion that is supremely vast and great, boundless and well developed, the learned noble disciple dwells, having pervaded the entire world. Then the learned noble disciple reflects like this: formerly my mind was narrow and not well developed. Now my mind has become boundless and well developed. So I really like that passage. I think for me it does clearly ground the meditation practices of, for example, metta on the other Brahmaviharas in ethical practice. It also illustrates, to me anyway, that the foundation laid through ethical practice has wholesome repercussions in the mind, enabling the overcoming of various of the hindrances in meditation that are impediments to growth and spiritual development. And the removal of these hindrances support the cultivation of positive emotion, such as metta and receptivity to the qualities of the enlightened mind. And the passage concludes by indicating that the mind, which was formerly narrow, and I really like this bit, has become boundless through meditative radiation of metta and compassion. And I think this, when I sit in front of the Buddha, what I'm experiencing is the radiation from a boundless meditative mind, a boundless mind full of compassion and wisdom. It's really interesting in the early Buddhist scriptures, boundless radiation of the qualities of enlightenment, for example, metta, lack any reference to an object. No personal living being is explicitly mentioned. You just radiate. You just radiate the qualities which you've developed into the universe. And I'm going to read you another excerpt from the scriptures. With a mind of compassion, one pervades one direction, being naturally delighted, and the second direction, the third direction, the fourth direction, as well as the four intermediate directions, above and below, in every place, completely and everywhere, in the whole world, with a mind that is boundless, unlimited, that cannot be calculated. This is without aversion or anger, and naturally at ease. Being pervaded within by this mind of compassion, one has gained gladness and joy, and the mind has become straight. So again, this passage illustrates the close relationship between development of ethical practice and the ability to not only develop metta in this case, but also radiate it out into the universe. So the Buddha can radiate qualities of enlightenment because he's completely pure. There's no obstructions, there's no defilements which inhibit that flow of the qualities of enlightenment out into the universe. And all we have to do is sit in front of the Buddha and be receptive to those qualities. And I just want to close by just saying a few words now about resonation. Because as I said earlier, when I sit in front of the Buddha and kind of initially just undertake some ethical purification as well. So when I sit in front of the Buddha, I more often than not do a confession practice. I just confess what I know I've done, which has digressed the 5 precepts, and then I can feel receptive to the qualities, more receptive to the qualities of the Buddha. But there's also a resonation. It's not just receptivity to the qualities of the Buddha. There's also a kind of resonation. I begin to resonate with the qualities of compassion, wisdom. Something in me resonates with what the Buddha's radiating. And I remember Bhante Sangharakshita saying somewhere that we cannot resonate with that which is not already present within us. So when I, for example, resonate with metta, which is being radiated by the Buddha, that means that there's some kernel of metta within me, because otherwise there's nothing in me to resonate with the qualities of the Buddha. And I find that really, really interesting, and also very, very, well, it gives me a lot of confidence. It shows that, the qualities of enlightenment are not alien to me. They are resonating with their equivalent, however dim, within me. And this brings me to my final point, and we use the developmental model in meditation a lot, don't we? We develop metta through the 5 stages. We develop mindfulness. And I think the danger here is that it can overlook the fact that the qualities which we're developing are already present within us. And what we have to do is just look within. For example, the quality of mindfulness, just recognize that that quality is there somewhere within us, and just allow it to flourish. And this is what happens when I sit in front of the Buddha. I feel the particular qualities of the Buddha radiating from him: compassion, wisdom, fearlessness, patience, ethical practice, generosity, mindfulness, and so on. And then I just sit and just wait. Just feel the equivalence of me just begin to resonate, just begin to vibrate a bit with the radiation of the Buddha. And it's wonderful. It can be really, really powerful. The vibration of these qualities then they begin to merge, and I become an integrated, there's an integrated resonation with the the qualities of the Buddha coming from the Buddha to me. And then, Shraddha, the ultimate in me begins to resonate with the ultimate in the universe. And it gives me a great deal of confidence in Dharma practice. Great deal of confidence just sitting there in front of the Buddha, feeling the resonation of something in me with the qualities being radiated from the Buddha.